Welcome to the In Search of More podcast. I am your host, Ellie Nash. Join me weekly on my quest for more from myself and more from this world. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, what's up, Ellie Nash?
Okay, so we're back. I think I should explain a little bit because I did take a fairly long hiatus from the podcast, many months it was. And I did sprinkle with a couple of recordings, so I feel like it's important to say this is not a sprinkling. This is me returning back to the podcast. I haven't figured out yet the cadence or anything else, but this is me re-entering the space for sure.
Nice.
And it felt perfectly appropriate to do that with you.
Right.
So,
Right.
because it's not the first time, right? It's where we started the last time. We went from webinars to eventually recording on the audio. That was done together. We got the wheels going, and then I was off to the races. You know, you kind of like let go of the. Did you teach your kids to bike?
One of them.
They know how to bike.
Yeah.
You know that feeling when you
Yeah.
let go the first time and
For sure.
and they go. Okay, so I need your help again.
I'm here. That's what I'm here for. I
Training,
heard something like 271, episode 271.
Episode 271.
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, quite a thing. Did you know that would be that when?
I don't know. I didn't know where it was gonna go, but it's amazing to see where it's at, and I think it's been a beautiful journey. A lot of self-discovery for you and me and everyone involved, and yeah, looking back, I don't know what did you think?
I didn't.
Right.
I didn't. It
Started
kind
in the middle
less-
of COVID.
It started more as webinars and
Right.
saying, hey, we're doing these webinars. Let's put it on. You're like, why not put on a podcast? You already have the content. I'm like, okay.
Right.
You know, so today, I think we have to explain our relationship to the audience, who you are a little bit to the audience. But in terms of what you do day to day, today, you have a creative agency, right? And you did everything that's
Soup
seen
to
here.
nuts, baby.
Yeah, the podcast and not just the logo and design, but also getting it out there. And,
Yeah.
you know, by the time it was turnkey, you hand it over to the guys here, and then we go to the House of More website, and on and on. And I imagine in your world, it's like you can design this beautiful branding, and some just kind of lives a life, 30, 60, 90 days, doesn't get anywhere, and it's like, okay, and another one is just coasting for 5 years. So
Yeah.
you're welcome.
For sure. It's good to see. For sure. Good to see the work in the world, you know, out in the wild, doing this thing.
Did you see the House of More yarmulkes?
I did.
You did?
I like it.
It's like that logo you made. It's
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Good
It's
to see.
official. It's official. Okay, so I want to ask you the question about like who you are, but I don't just want to say, I don't want just to ask it kind of open ended because people can just blabber on with stories. So I want to ask the question a little more pointed, but that's the question that I'm asking, kind of like who you are. But in order to explain what I mean by that is, I think there are things in our life that we inherit from our parents and things that we earn ourselves, right? If you meet a guy and you're like, hey, this guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and just one detail left out, another one like his grandfather was this guy and he inherited it. Okay, interesting. Self-made, he earned it. That's okay, really interesting, and not on crypto.
Right. Not a tech bro, right?
But he earned it. Then it's like, okay, I want to meet this guy, right? I want to know, right?
Right.
What you know behind that is that there's something, right? There's something that has earned that, right? In much the same way, like I think about it with my kids, right? The amount of work, and I think you and I dance a similar dance, because we've been in each other's life for 20 years, which is pretty impressive considering how different the versions of us are from back then. Because sometimes it's like it.
Right.
So, but I can share openly, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like in our strip club days, that was
Yeah.
right. That was together. The sports days, fitness, the basketball. There was like business, right? There were many different phases that we've been involved in, and today, business, purpose, family, right?
Yeah.
You know that, like our life, somewhat connecting in that way, right?
Yeah.
So that's something. But what I want to ask you is like this. So let's I mean, you knew me at a time where it was who I was then was not going to stay in relationship with someone for too long. Not practically, just being able to can't visit strip clubs too often and
right.
for that to work, but also just be in a relationship, be close to someone and, stay in the kitchen long enough to actually build and sustain a relationship. That's not who I was.
Right.
And I had to work really hard to get to that place. And my kids see that, and God willing, have inherited from me, and they may coast into adulthood with this.
Right.
So these things exist in both people, but one has been through earned, and one has been earned, and one has been through inheritance. Mm-hmm. So when I'm asking kind of who you are, the way I imagine it is like when we accomplish something that's different than we were set out for, it's almost like we create an angel for that thing who stands by our side, like accompanies us, like the angel of, whatever hell you were in that you fought out of, like how to do that. You can't lose it. It's you. Right. Put you back in Guyana and you'll figure out your way out again. It. It won't take you 20 years this time. But it.
Right.
So it's that, right? Those things. My question is, in terms of answering the question, like who you are, what are the demons you've slayed that have turned into angels that accompany you on this journey in your life?
Oh, man, we started off like that, huh? Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I mean, just to kind of give it some more texture in regards to our relationship. When we first met, I was in a completely different space. Didn't have, I knew the price of a lot of things, let's say, but the value of nothing almost, right? And that extended to relationships, with my wife now, we're like in completely different space, myself, and just life in general, had a very limited view on what life could be, what life is, and my role inside of that.
Can you make it more specific a little bit? Yeah. I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
but,
for sure. So,
in Hebrew, there's this term they use, like, say it like a 5-year-old would understand it.
Right. Right. And honestly, it's funny. The vagueness that you hear is, and has been for a long time, like a bit of a defense mechanism, right? Where if I don't give too much of myself, then there's no repercussion or no consequence or no questions that can uncover a truth or something else, something deeper. That's interesting. You always picked up on that. But no, I think back in the day, I didn't really give a shit about my life, so it was hard for me to care for other people, for example. Inside of that, I attracted friends and peers that were kind of on the same path as me, running the streets, getting into all sorts of troubles. Just not placing a value on.
So let me ask a question differently, that one.
Yeah.
Think of, you came to Miami at what age?
13.
13.
Yeah.
Okay. So think of you 15, 16, 17, 18, that time period, and maybe 3 or 4 names that come to mind of the people you spent the most time with at that time. You don't have to say their names.
Yeah.
Picture.
Okay.
How did their life go?
How did their life go?
I mean, a few of their stories. Where are they today? Families, alive.
Yeah, one got deported back to Guyana.
Recently, or?
No, this has been some years.
So pre-Trump.
Yeah.
So it's a real
Obama deported him.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
They call him the deporter in chief.
Yeah, Obama. He definitely did.
But deported why? Like, is there more to the story than that?
Yeah, he got into some trouble with the law prior, and he's a family member of mine, and then he was actually a victim of like a robbery, and he was like hesitant to report it to the police, but eventually went to the police, and then somehow his name popped up as a prior offender, so on and so forth, and he wasn't completely Like he wasn't a citizen; he's a resident, and he never went to get his citizenship because of things like his competency and his literacy wasn't. He felt intimidated by whatever he would have to do, and he had already went to prison before, so he didn't want to like.
Okay, so that's one friend. Okay,
Yeah.
give me another.
And there's another one that I've known for a really long time. We aren't as close as we used to be, which if you ask me when at the height of our relationship, if we would ever separate, I'll tell you no way. It's my guy forever. He went to prison, came out of prison, and our growth from then has just been different. Like he almost got killed. It's a whole bunch of shit.
Okay, another guy, another one.
Yeah. And then a third person that I spent a lot of time with.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Your point. You understand
So
why
that comes to mind. Yeah, that comes to mind. I think. Yeah, probably my wife. I've known my wife for a long time, and she's still in my life. She's been pretty consistent, and that's been a hell of a journey also.
Got it.
Like put her through a lot of shit. Like,
Right. Okay. Before we go there, the reason I asked the question is because you're struggling to be specific about kind of like your journey and what you've overcome, but like that's where you were.
Right.
Right. You were hanging out with those guys, which we become who we are. We're like, in other words, like you were on that path, those paths
sure.
of prisons, deportation,
Yeah.
victims of crimes.
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
some victims of crimes are wrong place, wrong time, and some just like they're
Right.
in that world. Right.
Right.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. Meaning, in terms of the demons you've slayed, right? That was not gravity was pulling you towards prison,
Right.
right? That
Or worse, yeah.
yeah,
For sure.
So that was work that it took to accomplish that. That's what I'm saying. To be where you are today,
Right.
right? That it wasn't gravity. Someone else gets that from their parents. Their parents were a certain way, and then they heard it. It's like, okay, great, wow, you stayed at a prison.
Right.
Okay, but someone else, all of their friends, that was their life. That was where they were moving towards. That was where that question was coming from. Because you tell me there.
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely heading in a different direction, and everything around me in my world was, a lot of it was geared towards self-destruction. And like I'm listening to you talking about like earned versus inherited, and I think like the inherited part is definitely a two-way street for good and bad. Like there's definitely some shit you can inherit from people and environment that that could have you on a wrong path, like just without even a choice almost. Like you grow up around certain environments, and then like that's it. Like I got a nephew that died, and super talented kid, and he grew up in the middle of the hood. It's funny because my cousin, I call him, he's my cousin technically, but he's like my cousin's kid, so whatever, that got deported. That's his son. He was the only constant, strong male figure, as flawed as he was, that was in my little cousin's life. And when he got deported, he just, like we talk about it within the family, and it's like, yeah, when Ricky, my cousin that got deported, when he left, Kamani, my little cousin that died, like his life,
his son,
nosedived. And you can see it. And we try to like get him out of Miami. We try to, like, he was a great football player. He played for one of the top schools in Miami. The Rockets, for anyone that's familiar with like Miami Senior High and Northwest and the rivalry with the Bulls and the Rockets and all that stuff. And we try to get him out of Miami and out of the environment. And the day that he died, he was involved in a police chase. And like ran a light, got T-boned by a car. And that day, a coach called him and told him that he had got him into a school in California to play ball. So inheriting some of that stuff is like, it's tough, man, because it's like you don't even have a choice sometimes. And it takes a lot of work to undo what's been gifted to you in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Right, and that work that's done That's what we call earned.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
That's what we call earned.
100%.
So what was it that, I think we probably met, was 2006, 2007, approximately there.
Yeah.
What was it that, at that point in time you came to our business, you're a customer service agent, and I don't know how soon thereafter we became friendly, started hanging out, and, beyond the business relationship, there was also a friendship formed.
Right.
But what was it that made you choose a different path to break the mold?
That's a good question, man. I feel like inherently I always knew that the path I was on wasn't the path I should be on. Like there was something that was always there in the back of my mind, if you will. Because like I was like my friends, but I wasn't like them. Like I don't know what word to use, but like my friends, I felt like at that time, like a lot of them, we were together because our situation was similar, but we weren't necessarily the same type of people necessarily.
Right.
Like I always had lofty goals. Like I always wanted to aspire for more. And I can't say the same about all my friends. Some of them, for sure, but not all of them. So I feel like I was always kind of had this thing inside the pit of my stomach that like, all right, I'm supposed to be doing more with my life, but I didn't know how to get to it. I didn't know what it actually looked like. And this is in front of me now, and I can do this and survive and make it through the day. And that's kind of where I focused on. When I met you, a lot of things shifted though, because I might have told this before or whatever, but when I met you around that time, like I was in the streets, I was running around, and I knew I wanted to be rich and wealthy and have stuff. I thought I was either gonna like do music and rap and like become this big rapper, or I was gonna sell enough drugs to where I can like quit the game and like go legit, if you will. And then when I met you, which by the way, I met you after, like you were supposed to interview me the day, and then like our good friend Moish, like you weren't there and he interviewed me, and he was kind of like late, and he's like, the other guy's supposed to interview you, but I'm here. I don't know. He's like, you showed up on time, so I don't know. You got the job, basically. And we always laugh, like if you would have interviewed me, you probably would have like did like a proper interview and probably not hire me, right? Because like work experience was spotty at best.
But you worked at T-Mobile before, no?
Yeah, for a little bit, and then got kicked out of there. Got kicked out of there.
Right, that's a detail he didn't get.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, this guy worked for T-Mobile before.
You must be legit. Yeah. And then but meeting you, and you were running, I don't know, maybe a few months removed from your garage, and like you got like a couple of bays, and like quick, I could tell we were like around the same age, and and I'm like, man, like he's got like this whole thing going on. It's like, all right, like this is different. And then just from being inside of the business, like I had privy to like the accounts, and I'm seeing like, I'm like, oh shit, like, okay. And that kind of shifted things for me, that like, all right, you can sell cell phones and you can like get the thing that you want. It doesn't have to be, and that's another thing, like the sidebar, like coming out of the streets and looking back at it now and being one of those kids, a lot of that stuff is like, we're just in love with the allure of it, like the lifestyle of it. It's not the actual things that, like, the money isn't really there unless you're like you few and far between people like that
it's
are
like
in
the
the streets,
trappings
and
of
so
money.
yeah, it's more so the lifestyle, right? Like you're this guy and you're running around, you're like selling dope, and you're like running the streets, and like that in itself is a crazy trap, because you're not actually getting out what you set to get out. Like what you went after, what you think is fast money, you're not actually getting it, and it comes fast as it goes. So again, when I met you, I'm like, okay, you can actually build something sustainable, and it doesn't have to be glamorous or like dangerous or like this whole thing that I was programmed to believe in a lot of ways. And that kind of shifted things. And then, just kind of kind of went from there. So I forget the question you asked. I feel like I sidetracked a bit, but that's what's coming up for me. That like you represented a legit example of a different path to success that I've never seen before. Like this close.
Right.
Like in theory, I saw it, but like I'm going to work with you every day and I'm seeing it. The time you had like a Bentley, and then you had like, and I'm like, okay, I want a Bentley. Like, you know, I'm just saying, like I'm like, okay.
I feel like I should explain the Bentley, but I can just let it go, right?
Nah, let it go. You had the Bentley. You're like, listen, you can't say you used to run around the strip clubs and you had the Bentley. Like, it was good. The 4-door flying spur. Like, I remember it. You could tell them how you got. I remember how you had the Bentley. Like, you know, it was good. It was a good times. No, but yeah, you represented that for me. And then, just talking to you now and coming back full circle, sitting on the chair, I feel like I've always felt like our relationship has lasted as long as it did, because it was like we were like meant to meet in a lot of ways. Like they say, like you meet people for a reason in a season. I legit feel like we've met each other for a reason. Like we met each other at a certain point in each of our lives where like our lives complemented each other in a lot of ways, right? Like you were running around the strip, I'm like, let's go. Like I'm, you know, like I'm not telling you no, like whatever the case is. And then we've both been able to grow from there at a clip that has always complemented each other, I feel like, you know? And it's sort of like a testament to like when life puts certain people in your proximity, like if you're able to recognize it and build on those relationships, it can be really meaningful, you know? Yeah, so for me, like, you're my guy, man. At the end of the day, we've been good friends. There's not a lot of friends I have for 20 years. And, yeah, it's been a cool ride, you know? And I've always been here to support you and all that stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting off track here. Getting a little sentimental.
I appreciate that. Yeah. No, but I think it's important. Like, that's the first question. Someone sees, why Ryan? And over the years, I mean, when you were practically my therapist when I started dating Frady, if you remember those days, and I started dating my wife, and like my head spinning with all this stuff. But I think you always were a fan, pushing that forward. Yeah. As I recall. And then I don't know if you remember this conversation, but when I had found the home in Southwest Ranches, and I was like, do I not? You know, it was like, it's a huge decision, right? We're living in Miami, and like here we are, we're gonna go to a new community, middle of nowhere, 40 minutes outside of Miami, no Jewish community, and I remember like I showed you a picture of the house, and like this has come up. It's kind of crazy idea. I remember you being supportive. Yeah, it's good. Does that make sense? So there were like key pivotal moments that you were there. There was also the first medicine ceremonies, like the first times we did, the first 5 times I did ayahuasca. You were in the
yeah, good times.
So, and then some of those conversations we had afterwards. If you remember, like, hey, I think there's this feeling I get. I didn't get like a message in ayahuasca to speak. That wasn't what happened, but there was this feeling I got often after I was in a good space where it's like, hey, I want to speak. I want to share. Right? We gotta do something with it. And some of those led to the eventual podcast. And you're just always being there and pushing it. I think it's important to kind of cement that. There's a reason why I said like, hey, Ryan, like let's sit down for this. There's a new season for the podcast. There's something new that I feel it's got to come out of me. And oftentimes, you know, you write, and it's in the writing process that the idea gets formulated. Right. You just know you got to sit down and write. You don't know what you're going to write always. It's like the idea comes through. So it kind of feels the same in this way. And what I've been feeling recently is that it's been for a while, but I shelved it just because it felt so freaking awkward to do. Is, you know, I've spoken about a lot of different topics over the years, bunch, whether it was child sex abuse and, you know, hitting the pavement there, or whether it was the porn addiction, or whether it was the concept of mic drop and just the concept of speaking up and, hey, finding your voice is really powerful, or addiction, or healing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
On and on. But like there's been this one topic sitting on me saying like there's something that's kicking all of our asses more than anything else. And that's just, it's like what gets most of us? Where when we wake up in the morning most days, what are we preoccupied with? What is it that's the daily struggle? And the daily struggle is it's financial.
Yeah.
And the real world stuff around money, it's like so much of our life is consumed with how to sort out our relationship with this, with money, this energy of money and career and everything that goes along with it. And I've always kind of kept that to the...
Why is that?
Why? It's a good question. Some I don't have an actual explanation for. It just brings up an uneasiness inside me to even to go there. When I start talking about business and things like that, I'm like, I don't want to. Part of it, I don't want to be that guy. You know.
Well, you are that guy.
Right, but it just, I guess with some of the things around money for a long time, it feels like, hey, you can make it, you can lose it, it can come, it can go. And so much of it is outside of one's control.
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, it worked, but how much luck went into it? I often would tell rabbis that, come for charity. I said, you think you're coming for charity, but you're actually coming so we can give you an infusion of belief in God. You read in the books, you sit there studying all day, how much you know, but when you're like day to day running a business, you're like, it's all miracles. It's yes, it's hard work, Arnold Palmer has a line, he says, it's a funny thing, the more I practice, the luckier I get. So it's kind of like the harder I work, the more miracles I see. Yes, certainly there are those things, and there's business is relentless common sense. Just give me the most common sense solution to that. And even with all that, you look at your customers and you look at your contacts and your relationships and the timing of things. And you're like, man, if that didn't happen then this, or if that thing went wrong that way, then we're not here. So there's a lot of that. And it almost felt like I can put this out there, I can record, I can say this, and then we can be in a different situation by the time it's out there.
So did you feel like speaking about it is only valid if you always have the thing? Meaning like when you say like you can put it out there and then next week we could be in a different situation. Like for me, like you still, when you put it out there, you've already did it. Like it happened, right? Like it's whether you go broke in a week, like it doesn't, like you still did it. So is it for you, it's like only if you continue to do it, only then it's valuable?
Yeah, it's a fair question. It's good to hear reflected back that way. I guess it's kind of like imposter syndrome in some way, where it's like I'm not actually here. I don't actually belong here, and then that proves it. That supports it. So, no, objectively, if someone did it and accomplished it, then yeah, they learned something along the way, and there's something to say. But the thought process is that if it's not there anymore, then it shows that it was never really there, right? It's kind of like if you lost it, then you never had it. You can't lose something you had.
Right.
But I think it's different. I think my relationship with money has changed a lot over the last few years for sure. And I think it's different today. So some of it just kind of like old programming. It just became a habit not to talk about it, not to mention it. And it almost feels like if I go there in that category, then I have to mention that I have business and that I've earned some money. And I don't know. I like just saying that I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've known you long enough to know you've always been uneasy when talking about that stuff. And it's always been like kind of like a head scratch for me, because like you're the guy, like you've made it in America in a lot of ways. Like we were joking at dinner, like you've built something from the sweat of your brow, like you did your thing, you know, and I think most people that come across the name Ellie Nash, a few seconds behind that, like it's a successful business person. Like that's what you're known for. I'm not saying it's the only thing that you're known for, but so it was always like interesting to see like you kind of shy away from it, but that's like you're that guy. Like you're the guy, you know?
Right.
Like
In my mind, I'm not right. In my mind,
right.
I wasn't and didn't want to be
Right.
known for that.
Interesting. Did you ever do anything to like sabotage that in a real way? Like, you know, maybe like, okay, the pot's getting too big. Let me like stop here, or let me not do that, or this could 10x, but let me not roll
for sure.
that. Yeah,
for sure. I think that this especially started coming up when I started dating my wife, where my association became like more money, more pressure. Like it felt like the easiest answer in terms of why I don't want to do something or take something on was not the easiest answer. The only answer was I can't afford it. And that was the only acceptable answer, you know. And I had to do some of that also with charity or requests from family. The only acceptable answer was I can't afford it. And if I could afford it, then I have to say yes. So it created a ton of pressure for me around it. And for a while, I used to have fantasies of just going broke. Like completely. I would watch sometimes like people on a bus, like on a city bus. I'm like, wow, what a life. What a life. No car. I guess like take 2 hours to get to and from work. It was just twisted, but that was the thing. But on the other hand, there's a truth to it, right? There's a truth. And I think a lot of people think about money is that it's like, oh, if only I had money, right? It's like, if only I had money, my life would be, you know, so different. But one of the rules of money, like kind of foundational principle of money, is for every debit, there's a credit, right? Like in accounting, if you're going to take down money here, it's always two things always got to move, right? Something always has to balance. So if cash came in, then what is that? I mean, someone owed you money, so the amount of money that's owed, that goes down. Right. If it's right, something happened over here. It was a loan, then your loan goes up, right? Your cash goes up and your debt goes up. So there's always two things moving in parallel, debit and a credit. And the same is true with just money. When you get money, it's not, some people think, okay, everything in my life is going to be the same. And literally the only difference, I'm going to open my account and have money. It's like, no, that's not. That's not it's not the only difference. And the way I think about it today, which is where I think the truth is in that, is, you know, we all want to get our day right? Our time right. I want to use my time appropriately. And yeah, we'll waste some time, but if wasted a lot of time, you feel like, come on, man. Right? That wasn't a great day. That wasn't a great week, a great month, a great year. I wasted too much time. And if someone told you they had 100 hours in a day, you'd be like, well, it's a lot of responsibility, like to get 100 hours right. So if you think about, or if imagine someone said, it's not like 80 years on this planet, it's like 10,000 years. And that's sometimes when I hear of these names with mega wealth, right, billionaires, it's not like, oh, they have so much more. There's so much more responsibility to get right. So it'd be the equivalent of saying, it's like, let's say a person making $100,000 a year, like he has to get $100,000 right. And right to protect that money, right? But how many eyeballs are there on 100,000? Not the same as 100 million, or 100 billion, right? Or whatever the numbers people have. And when someone has so much more above and beyond, in my mind, it's the equivalent of like, okay, let this guy live for 100,000 years and get that time right. And that's, I think there's a truth to that. Like there is a sense of responsibility that comes with money that's often overlooked, and there's people look at like the trappings of it.
Right.
You know,
what it can afford.
For example, right, it was super exciting for you to get your house, right? You got a house with a pool, and it's like, man, I made it. But then that's just getting it.
Right. And the house starts getting you.
Right. Then it's maintaining it, right? And the maintaining it doesn't have any of the glamour.
Right.
None. You just got
Constantly.
Right. Then it's like, okay, it's like fun to have a pool, but now keep it clean
Right.
and keep it warm. And how much does that cost?
Yeah.
Right? How much attention does it
I
need?
literally got to change my pool pump. I got a quote today to change my pool pump. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
So that's what I mean. And there's no glamour to it.
Right.
There's none. None of the sexiness to it is there.
Right.
It's like on that first day when you walk in, you have it. And that's, I think, the other part of it is like everyone wants a big home, but not everyone wants responsibility to maintain the big home.
Yeah.
And that's a burden to carry. And the same is true with wealth and everything else. So the way that presented with me was almost like a fantasy around.
Yeah, I hear that. I think for me too, like in the recent years, I realized like a lot of our programming, a lot of our like introduction to money is like to kind of hoard it and get money, like you say, the trappings. And recently I've been kind of decoupling from that idea and like realizing like real wealth is in like a quality of life. And certainly money plays a part in it, right? But it's not necessarily married to money, meaning like if you can spend quality time with your kids every single day, like that's like legit like high level quality of life. Now on one aspect, your work, your career could afford you that time, right? You could buy back that time, but it doesn't necessarily mean like you can find the time. And if you spend the time, like it has nothing to do with money, the actual spending of that
Right.
time. So I've been focusing on that a lot more. Like making sure like my quality of life is like optimized as much as I can, while in pursuit of everything else. You know, like there's a saying like desire is the root of all suffering. And it's like, as long as you want something, you're going to have to suffer for it. So like choose what you want. Right. But yeah, I hear you with that. I think a lot of people are just like in a position that they want to trade up from, you know what I'm saying? And like money is like the low hanging fruit, right? But oftentimes, like I think about this, it's like the people that are like uber wealthy, like they get there and then first thing they say, it's not about the money. Like that's always like the message. I always ask myself, like, what does that mean? Like what comes up first is like, of course, because you have money. So that's why you're saying that.
Right.
But I'm like, but they all say that. Like even the ones that I consider genuine, like they all, it's not about the money. I'm like, man, it sounds like we got the script flipped it almost. Like you can figure out what that is now before you get the money and then have to realize it. I think about it, if that makes sense. I don't know how that
So what do you
lands,
think
but
the answer is? Why do they keep saying that?
I think ultimately, like everything that we do in life is to go back inside. Like we have all the answers internally, like it's in us. We just got to remember. And I think money affords you things like time, things like autonomy to actually like realize what's actually valuable, right? Like I had a conversation, and I'm tempted to try it with you. But let's say you probably have everything you want, but let's say,
I don't have everything I want.
okay, what's something you want physically? Like a tangible
Physically?
thing. Yeah.
Like a tangible thing?
Yeah.
Like another house, I would say, yeah.
Why?
Why would I want that?
Mm-hmm.
Because it gets really hot in Miami a few months of the summer.
So you want like a vacation home and another.
Mhm.
Why?
Why do I want that?
Yep.
So there are a couple of reasons, but the real reason is that my wife desires it a lot, and I'd like to give her that.
Why do you want to give her that?
Why do I want to give her that? She's been good to me. She's been good to me. A lot of blessings came through her, and I think it'd be nice to. And I also trust her on it, right? Like I trust that the desire is coming from a good, clean place, right? That'll actually bring positive benefit to my family.
Mm.
And it's not that it's something we completely can't do. It's just, yeah, it would be like there's a stretch. There's a stretch there to get the one I want is a stretch for
Right.
sure, and I got to be willing to suffer a little for it.
Right. So your wife has been good. You want to, honor that. Why do you want to honor that?
So I think the main reason I said is that I trust it. I trust that it'll be good for my family.
Mm.
I trust that,
Right. So what it sounds like, and this is kind of what I was getting at, is that we do all these things for a feeling, and a feeling comes from inside, right? So that feeling of
Okay, so there's definitely a feeling there that I'm looking to experience with my family.
right.
That there's something that I imagine in there. It will create, and it has, like the times we've done it in the last couple, this summer, not the summer before, but this summer, for example, we spent a month in Long Island and with the family, and it was a great month.
Right, right. And that's kind of like to my point where money may be the path to it, but that feeling doesn't necessarily have anything to do with money.
Right, I can have it tomorrow afternoon with my kids.
Right. And that's kind of where I feel
Like what my wife is looking for is a certain peace and quiet, and there isn't like demands on us, where over here there seems to be a lot. There's a lot
Right.
of stuff to do.
Right,
and when we
right.
go out there, there's nothing, just the family with the family, and we get time to really bond.
Yeah. And that's
But that
beautiful.
could happen here. That's true.
Right. And that's what I know to be true in my life. Like ultimately we do everything to just to kind of go back inside, like feeling accomplished, feeling proud. What those things are internal. So like I feel like this whole thing is to just go back inside. And I got a lot of that messaging from ayahuasca. Like the medicine showed me that like I have all the answers. I just got to remember them. Right? And that is the work, to remember who you are, to remember your purpose. I don't think it's something that's ahead of us. I think it's already in us. It lives with us every day. But the work is in uncovering that.
Right.
Because
And then there's the other side of it that just, and this is why I think money is such a challenging energy to navigate, is just how essential it is to
Right.
basic life.
Right.
Like when
Right.
you're buying food, when you're paying your rent, you're not looking for a feeling.
Right. And I can tell you, like to just piggyback on that, like the essentialness of money also varies depending on where you wake up, for sure. Meaning, like as a kid growing up in the islands, like abject poverty, like we didn't have anything. Can't remember a time I worried about eating. Like the neighborhood would feed me. Like I didn't have all these worldly possessions, but I was super happy, right? In a place like America, it's like hyper important, like it's in your face, like you need everything now to afford anything. Like, right, you have to hustle culture, you do all this stuff. I feel like it's amplified, in a place like America, the West, or whatever the case is. And like the simpler life, it's like almost like I look back at it, like I went to Trinidad last year with my wife and my mother-in-law, and I'm like, man, like people are so happy here. They don't have half the shit we have.
Right.
And over here we have like 10x, but we're like unhappy as shit. Like usually, like it's never enough. It's never enough. I can't make it. Can't make ends meet. All this stuff, and it's like I think about that sometimes also. Like how much of where we live, where we exist, is impacted by money, and what does that actually mean?
I remember reading years ago there was, the correlation between money and happiness, and how it's kind of at the early stages it's very high. Right. Kind of the difference between being able to live in a hut or live with air conditioning or live with a fridge. Right. These are huge differences that. Right. Or, people being healthier. Right. Kind of, let's say the first 50,000. Right. 50,000 or $100,000 a family earns. Like every single increment is very meaningful to someone's happiness. Right. And then at a certain point, it just kind of plateaus. Like there's no meaningful difference between someone making, and obviously this depends on, whether someone lives in Miami or outside of it. Right. So I'm just using a round number. There's no meaningful difference in happiness whether someone makes 100,000 or 500,000. Right. And certainly not between 500,000 and $1 million. But there is going up that ramp. But then there was one like kind of caveat there, which is if it's more than your neighbors, then it does contribute.
Right.
Happiness, right? Like that's this other thing there that's like the more or less than. Yeah. And that I see a lot where you see people who objectively live very well,
Right.
right? Have a lot of money, but they don't have the biggest house on the block.
Mm.
And they feel that.
Right. Right.
And then what that does create, or the reverse, they do have it, and then they feel like, hey, I'm the man.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure.
But
What would be your advice to that person? Both of those versions, like the one that like, hey, objectively you have everything that you could want. Okay, you don't have the biggest house on the block. Like, what's your advice? And then also like, okay, you're the big fish. What would be maybe not advice, but how does one be a good big fish? I guess.
So I'll share kind of a personal story. I don't like giving advice as much as just my own personal story. So when I started working, and we met real young,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point in time, I was still in school. I was planning on going to law school.
Yeah, you're gonna be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And I was working, and the business was meant to put me through school, but eventually, there was some point in time where I wasn't able to do both, and I said, hey, this is a business. Like I can live on this,
Right.
and let me stop school, and I'll focus exclusively on the business. And that kind of continued for pretty much years up until the year I got married.
Mm.
And the year I got engaged, or I got married, everything started falling apart. I was losing money hand over fist, and that time period was by far the most difficult in my adult period. Like a lot of the learnings came there. And at some point, I'd literally panic attacks, regular panic attacks about, I'm going to lose my business, I'm going to lose the money, I'm going to lose this. And then sometimes like, I remember sitting there once like, what am I so worried about? Like, okay, so I lose it. Like, then what? Okay, I can't pay it. A bill comes and I can't pay it. And then what?
Right.
So if I can't pay it, I don't pay it. Like, what's to be nervous? Like, it comes and I don't pay, and I say I didn't pay.
Right.
I mean, I don't have kids. I don't have kids in school. Like, okay, car payment, you'll take the car.
Right.
The
Right.
business work, you'll take the business. Like, what am I so afraid of? I know people without cars, and I know people without businesses.
Right. Right.
And they're fine. And as it's like, okay, I'm not worried. Like you said, I'm not worried about going hungry. Right. I knew that if everything fell apart, I can call someone and I can get a job for $1,000 a week, and I'll,
Right.
or maybe more. I had more experience. I'd
Right.
be, I wouldn't be as much as the fear felt very real. In practice, it wasn't actually that scary. So I said, okay, so what am I actually worried about? And what it was I didn't know that I would recognize myself in the mirror without money. As an adult, it was always there. If I wanted something, I was able to get it. If someone asked me for something, I was able to say generally yes.
Right.
And just being in that position, I began taking on that identity. And
yeah.
it happened slowly. I didn't, it happened slowly, and it snuck up on me, because to the point that I'm not even comfortable saying it.
Right.
But it still was my identity. I can't even come out of my mouth, but it was the only thing
Right.
right? It was the way I felt about myself. And the fear of losing it was the fear of losing my identity. And that led to me like a lot of identity work, and saying like, who am I? Who am I without the money? Who am I without the ability to give? Who am I without the ability to say yes? Who am I without the ability to buy what I want? Who am I? Who is this guy at the end? And then that work forces kind of the earned stuff that I spoke about. A lot of people talk about confidence. It's like we want confidence, and they do affirmations and everything else. And some of those are good, worthwhile, but the affirmations are really undoing the negative affirmations that we received, right? So if someone called us lazy nonstop as a kid, then okay, it could be important to undo the damage of that. So,
Right.
I'm proactive, I'm whatever words, but that's not confidence. Confidence comes from slaying demons and slaying dragons.
Right.
I was talking to a friend the other day. I said, "Do you want to know where my confidence comes from? Like where confidence is? The confidence is from overcoming my addiction. That's where, because I know what I did for that. I know how hard I had to work to that. And the same, there's certain confidence in business. Confidence in business that I have today is knowing how I handled the most difficult periods in my business. You don't know. No one knows what's going to happen when they come knocking.
Right.
No one knows. Some run and some fight. And I promise you, no one knows.
Right.
I always thought I'd run. And I fought. And and no one know, like literally no one knows. The people around me at the time, there were people I was sure were going to be the ones who fought with me. Some of them ran, and some that I didn't. Whatever, they're here. They turn out to be like the fighters. We're here. We're ready to fight till the end. We take on something. We do it, and then when we notice those things about ourselves. Also, that's very like that's nice to see. It's like, hey, you know, the guy came to attack, whatever it was, right? You've been in a street fight, I'm sure. You don't know. You're gonna run. You're gonna fight. Right. What are you gonna do in the moment? And it's instinct almost. It's not even. You don't even have the time to think about it. And we see afterwards, it's like, hey, I've done that. So there's definitely those things. So what I would encourage someone, going back to your answer, what I would encourage someone who's in that space is like he says, like back to basics. Go inward with that and find what needs to be healed, what needs to be sometimes not healed in this case, but like what needs to be strengthened. As you worked on it, then be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, no, I am not rich. I am not the business owner. I am not like those, not who I am. That's the role I'm playing today, right? That's the director. You know, the movie director gave me this role, and tomorrow he can give me another role. Yeah. But like, who am I? Who are those things? Those are those stuff I've earned.
Who do you see when you look in the mirror today?
Who do I see? Like, what would I describe?
Mm-hmm. Sure. What's his identity?
The first word that comes to mind with me, if I'm being transparent, is I think I've demonstrated over the course of my life that like a certain level of courage. You know the work of Richard. What's his name? David Hawkins. I think David Hawkins.
Tell me.
Talks about the map of consciousness.
I think I've heard about it, yeah.
So.
But tell me, yeah.
Yeah. So he has like all emotions on an energetic scale that he measures. He quantifies it, and he gives it a number, but I'm not going to focus on the numbers for these purposes. I'm more going to focus on the direction. So he has like, for example, at the bottom of that scale, which the scale is life affirming, right? What are the most life affirming emotions? For example, shame is not a life-affirming emotion, right? Shame, someone in such and such shame commits suicide. It's very not life-affirming. Okay. Shame. Fear is more life-affirming than shame. Yep. Like if you see someone in fear versus shame, you're like, okay, this guy. But if you see someone in anger, right, that's more life-affirming than fear. And even pride is more life-affirming than anger. But there are ones that spiral downwards and one that spiral upwards, right? So even though pride is life-affirming, but pride spirals downward. Like you take that feeling too long, and the pride dips into anger, and then anger dips into fear, and then fear dips into whatever, something else, and eventually into guilt, and then eventually into shame. Right. Whereas the spiral upwards, which includes things like joy and love and transcendence and the most life-affirming, right? The most life-affirming feeling that he describes is, maybe you felt it on medicine sometimes, where it's I'm alive, nothing to do with my body. Right. Right. There's this eternal life that exists, right? That space. So that's the most life-affirming. Like I'm alive because I'm alive, and my body has nothing to do it. Like that feeling of like that enlightened state is the most life-affirming. But anyway, he says the feeling it's like going up the scale and down the scale, the feeling that begins the trajectory up, the lowest of that is courage. Like that's where it starts. And the highest of the ones that are going down are pride, right? So it's like, it's very close. Like pride is related to courage, but it's a little bit different. It's like, I'm going to fight for me, right? There's a certain pride in it, but then there's something about courage that's a little bit more. So that's kind of the first feeling inside me, that I feel like I've demonstrated that, and it's something that I didn't feel that way. Like I always had a lot of fear. I always had a lot of panic. I thought I would run. I thought I'd run. So that's kind of the first. When I look in the mirror, I see that, and I know that strength, and I feel like emboldened by it, proud of it. Like I know,
Right.
You know the you ever heard of? There's two different animals. I don't know if it's true or it's more metaphor. Maybe like a bull and a cow, and when the storm comes, the cow runs away and then ends up in the storm for longer, and the bull runs towards the storm. So like it meets it first, but it ends up running through. So because it runs it through, like it experiences like the storm is coming this way and it's going that way, and it passes the storm in shorter time. Whereas the cow is like running away from it, and then the storm catches up and it's still going in the direction of running away. So it ends up living in that for longer. And I feel like that I've shown right through the years. I know that, like that I know I fight, right? So that's something that
Yeah, what's
I feel
coming
good
up
about.
for me too is also would love to hear you talk about like your wife's role with your relationship to money over the years. And before you answer, a few pointers that not pointers, but a few things that are coming up. Like for example, any serious relationship, marriage. I think it's like common knowledge that your partner can either like build you up or like break you down. One, as a man inside of a relationship, you're supposed to be the provider and protector, right? And that comes with a certain amount of pressure, and I don't think you can quantify it until you're in it. And then externally, you get to a partner and they have their expectations
right.
when they come into it, and that can get shifted, flipped on its head, or this is more than I ever bargained for. It's amazing. I'm interested to hear how Frady has what has the role been, and probably also like what's been like maybe one of the biggest lesson she's taught you, specifically around money and your identity with it and the energy around it and how you've lived with that over the years.
Yeah.
Loaded,
so,
long-winded
yeah,
question,
long.
but
Yeah. So first of all, so much, right? Just
Yeah.
like anything else, money is an energy that's like it's all encompassing. It affects us in many different ways.
By the way, I have an opinion on this. That's why
Well,
I'm asking.
Okay,
with
so
Frady,
you tell
yeah.
me if I.
Yeah.
So, first of all, when I met her, she wasn't impressed. Right? She just.
You try to impress her? Or what was the expectation?
I was used to it. I was used to it. I was in my mid-20s and I had money, and I was used to it. Like I don't know what to say. So
Right.
it wasn't even necessarily if she was impressed with like me, right? I didn't feel that way. My self-esteem was in the shitter at that point. It was more if I got something, she wasn't impressed.
Right.
She wasn't impressed. Like, okay, we'll go to this hotel. I'm like, it's not a nice hotel. She was like, that's not a nice hotel.
Right.
I was like, oh, like how do you?
Right.
This restaurant, that's not a nice restaurant. I was like, oh wow, right? So that was one that was humbling at the beginning, that she was much tougher to impress than most. I had a lot of stories around that, about what that meant about her, and materialistic and all sorts of things. But one of the things I did notice very quickly, I remember like one of our big disagreements, we went on vacation, and one of the first things she did with me, she's like, Ellie, you cannot fly economy anymore. This is crazy. Like, you give so much away to charity. The organizations you're giving to, the person running the organization
Right.
is probably flying business,
Right.
and you're in economy. To say like this is not wise with money. This is not careful. This is low like this is nonsense. This is
Low vibrations, yeah.
yeah. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You're tall. Like,
Yeah,
that
right,
was
right. It's not even practical. Right.
right. So that was one thing. But what I noticed about that was, like, if we went to a nice hotel, one of the first times we went on vacation together. So first time I planned, it was a disaster. I said unimpressed. Right. It's like, you know what? You do it. I want you seem to know this. You've done this things. One of the jobs that she had prior to us going out was taking Rich Jude shopping. So she did. She's like a professional shopper.
Nice. Right.
So, where was I going with that? Oh, anyway, so she knew a lot. She knew a lot about stuff. It's like, how do you know like the nicest of everything, like the cups and the knives and the lights and the, this luggage, like just so many different things to know. Usually someone's like an expert on one area. She knew all of it, right? Outside of electronics, all of it.
Right.
Electronics and cars, those are the only two things she didn't know.
Right.
Everything else, she knew. And when we went to a hotel, what I noticed was that I felt out of place. She didn't. I felt like I didn't belong. So we went to Italy to this nice hotel. I'm like, I got really upset at her over something, and I said, we're here because it's Tuesday, and everyone else here because it's a honeymoon or their 10th anniversary. She's like, how do you know that? Like, have you done a survey? I was believing this so strongly.
Yeah.
Like, you did a survey of everyone here? I think maybe you saw one person on a honeymoon. Other people could be, like, this is their pit stop between, you know. Right. They can live here for 3 months. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
Anything. But that feeling of I didn't belong here, and she did. That was one of the first things that she taught me. It's like, no, this is like own this. What you've worked, what you've done, what you've accomplished. Like this, you can own. You can sit here. You fit here. You fit here. It's okay. And that it's a lot more than just money. It's just, you know, you can put on a nice jacket and feel like you're wearing a costume, and it's like, no, this is mine. I worked for this, and it's a sign of my achievement, my accomplishment. So that was one. And the other is like the true holiness in materialism. There's
unpack that for me. Yeah. The holiness in materialism.
Not in the material world, like there's
the
something. Yeah. There's something. Like practically speaking, in the Talmud, I think it says that the gold was created in the world in order for the temple to have gold. Right? Like, why did the temple need gold? Like, it's holy. What does it need gold? What does it need gold for? And what I've seen is actually it does something. It does something. Whether it's an organization that was raising money recently and sent me a video, and they had this like home for healing and different stuff. I was looking at the home, and the home was like beaten down and decrepit, and like old couches and this. And on the one hand, it's like, yeah, they're careful with money and everything else, but it's like, you don't care about your people. You don't care about the people you're helping. Like, give them that feeling, give them that, right? It's different. And there's just so much that could be done with these things. There's a reason weddings are often beautiful, and right? It could go the wrong way, but instead of thinking of it as objectively bad, it's like, no, there's something about it that's, there's possibility in it. There's real possibility in it. Like the House of Moore is a lot nicer. It's still not to Frady standards. Not, right? She would like it a lot better, but it's a beautiful home, right?
Yeah.
For most of the people who come there, the House of Moore is nicer than their home. It's a beautiful home. And that was something that I learned to appreciate, the appreciation for that. We're going to make a healing home, and we're going to make it nice. Why? Save the money, get a cheaper place. I said, no, you're not going to have the impact. It's not going to be the same if it's not there. I'm struggling to find the words, but there's something that I feel like on a soul level she was sharing with me that's starting to get in. There's something about this. Like, we're not meant to run away from the money and say like, oh, I don't care about it. This is not meaningful. Yes, it's a lot of responsibility and getting it right, and we could get overwhelmed, and we could get lost in it, and our identity and all sorts of. It's a dangerous. It's a dangerous world to enter, but it's also one that's worth that. Like there's gold in there. There's literally gold.
Yeah.
In there. If we can figure out how to like get that, like at that intersection of like the best in materialism and the best in spirituality and like all of that, there's something that sits at that intersection that is very, very elevated.
Do you think that's possible, like that balance?
I'm trying to do it. Yeah, I'm trying to do it.
Yeah, I think as long as I've known you and Frady, like I think she has been a plus. She's definitely been a credit to your books, if you will. Like I feel like I've seen how, yeah, you and again, like I've been close to you for a long time, and it always made me scratch my head. Like at one point, I remember like I took you to the airport, I dropped you off. I was like, and I'm like, we were talking about something. I'm like, yo, you should call yourself like the modest millionaire. Like, you know, like you're this low key guy, and but it never felt like not disingenuous, but it felt like, and I guess now I know like that was your identity that you're wrestling with, and I'm like, you're like an example, right? Like from me sitting across the table from you, I'm like, you're like an example. You can like show people what's possible. Like you're like, for me anyway, like I was speaking from, and I'm like, you downplay yourself, like you shrink yourself, and I couldn't understand why. Now I get it, right? As we talk, but like I've always felt like whatever. Then when you met Frady, you're almost like a flower that started to bloom. I saw like a lot of like resistance in the beginning.
Oh, tons.
Because Frady is like caviar, and you're like, I don't know, smoke good at best, right? Right? But I think you've grown to appreciate that, and I'm happy for you, man. Like I think, like I asked you the other day, we went to dinner. I asked you if you're like happy, and you're like, yeah, I'm happy. And I think that's like a direct correlation to like having a wife and a partner that allows you to appreciate the shit that you've built, right? Like we're always building, but like we tend to look at things half full, half empty, but it's like, you know, it's half full also. Like that's a much better perspective. Like it's okay. So yeah, I think that's great. I think Frady's been really, really good for you in that aspect.
In many ways, yeah.
In many ways, yeah, for sure. And I think like it's like, you know, like pressure busts pipes or it makes diamonds. I'm sure you like, she comes in and she has like a certain like taste level and like a certain way of doing things, and you're like, okay, I got to step my game up. You know, I got to change my shirt every day now, right? Right?
No, she's definitely forced me into that way,
Yeah.
and I fought it hard. But like I said, I know there's some magic in there, and I'll make it practical. I'll make it very, very practical. So earlier we took a shot at, I said crypto, and you said tech bros, whatever else. So just to explain like where I was coming from. I don't know.
Yeah.
You were so in general, for a long time in America, in order to earn wealth, it wasn't something that could be done alone. Right? It's like you built a company, you had a team of people, and in order to get those team of people to work with you, you had to develop good relationships with them, incentivize them, encourage them, like drive them towards a common goal. Right. Then you're taking a chance on some product or some service or something, right? And you're developing excellence in that field, all while managing this team. And in the process, it's like, yes, someone may make a lot of money. That's true. But you take one business. You go to some small towns, literally small towns in America, and it's like this town exists because there's like one business which has done phenomenal here, and just like what it's done to that place. And it's not only the amount of people they've employed, but you know the banks are lending to them, and they're getting the vendors are selling to them, customers are buying from them. There's just so much that one good business pumps into the economy. And then yes, certainly the people at the top get to eat from that, right? They get rewarded for that. But there's someone who was big enough to think like, let me employ 10,000 people.
Right.
And one of the things that this stuff does, right, practically, a larger home and a nicer stuff, and you've probably seen it in your own life, is when you're driving a beaten down car a little bit, your mind's it's not thinking as big. It's not quite as expansive. And when you get that car and it fits, not in a, like, it has to match. You can't just, you know, put an 8-year-old in a 10,000 square foot house and it's going to change him. Like there has to be some symbiotic relationship a little bit between the two things, the person and what it is. But it starts changing our minds in some way. And then that person who can think of, like, yes, let's do something this large. Let's take on a risk of that size. Let's go into a new field that hasn't been explored, right? You're essentially to create a business is you have to. It's not much different. Like in order to succeed in stocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to. There's the consensus, and you have to bet against the consensus and win, right? The consensus is priced in,
Right.
right? The consensus believes that Netflix today is worth
Right.
whatever the number is,
Right.
$100 a share. And you're like, no, I think it's worth 120, or I'm going to bet that it's going to go to 80, right? So you bet against the consensus,
Mm-hmm.
and you win. And some degree, it's the same in business. You're like, no, there could be a beautiful building up here, and we could. Yes, the neighborhood is catering today to lower income, but if we invest and build a beautiful building here, people are going to pay twice the rent they pay. Also, like you're betting against the consensus, and you're winning, and that mindset does take a certain expansiveness, and that expansiveness goes hand in hand often with allowing yourself these things. And I found that I've seen my mind is different since I've moved here to this home and the space. It's been different. It's been different for my mind. It functions differently.
Right. Have you ever felt like something was not possible, specifically maybe in business, until you did it, and then you realize like this was definitely doable? Like, did you whatever, maybe thinking like, okay, get into like 100 million. I don't know how much, but let's say get into $100 million a year is not possible, and then you do it, you achieve it, or maybe you didn't think it's not possible, but it's like far-fetched, and then you do it, and then you look back like, oh, like I can definitely run a mile under a minute. Like one of the, like that's what's coming up for me. Like the minute mile is impossible until somebody does it. Then it's like everybody can do it.
Right.
Not sure what the actual question there is, but that's what came up. So I'm sharing.
Right. So I think often in terms of like the size of the team.
Yeah.
Right. Because when you say like $100 million business or a $10 million business, like those numbers don't tell the full story as much as the size of the team also does, especially now with technology and things like that. There are ways to do stuff with smaller teams. But when you say someone has galvanized a team of 100 people, it means they have leaders on top of leaders and, managing those. And there were times where I didn't think I can like get people working towards something and me not being caught in the rat race the whole time and involved with every single detail. Like that once felt impossible. Like if I don't do it, then how will it be done? And if I don't know, I watch it. And to see today that it's like I can go to sleep at night feeling okay, and I'm not the one who spoke to the vendor, and I'm not the one who spoke to the customer, and I'm not the one who's sent in the file to the bank. I used to feel like I had to do everything. All of it,
yeah,
and it didn't seem possible not to. And today it's like, yeah, there's a way to do it and feel okay with it, and probably do it better. Right. And still make sure everything is taken care of, and that's probably what shifted the most. And then like the larger that can grow. So let me ask a question. Right, ask a question this way, which will make sense, right? So you start employing people, right? So imagine there's someone who comes to you for a job and says like, Ryan, I want $1 million salary, right? Today that can be like what, a guy who makes $1 million a year is going to work for me,
right?
Right. Make $1 million a year as a salary, right? Not even like a business. Like someone will pay you a salary of that just to come and work and give your advice, just to do your work daily, like guaranteed. That's the money. That can feel very big for you. It's like, wow, like a guy earns that kind of money, and I'm going to employ him. I'm going to take responsibility for that salary. So there are different. You feel that stretch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those kind of stretches that once felt like, can you sit down with someone who's earning $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year and like have a conversation with them? Can you sit with someone who's investing in a business and the only reason they would is if millions of dollars can be made on it, right? They're not tinkering around with smaller businesses and say, hey, let's do something together. It's that expansiveness. And even if it doesn't work, it's not the point. It's like we both know we went into this thinking this was an opportunity that had that, and to be comfortable enough sitting across the table from someone and saying like, this this is possible. I belong here. You belong here. Like we belong together. We're doing this.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you think, question that comes up also is, do you think an entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur, is like made or born? Like, are you born with that, or like, can you develop it and pick it up along the way? What, and before you say both, like, which one would you say it skews to if you were going to say both? You could be like, whatever. You think you're born with it, or?
Well, I think like today, the way business works, like there are so many different kind of entrepreneurs, right? Someone who can be like an amazing coder and then can build a business. It's a little bit different than maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. So, but yeah, there's definitely something that's
inherently there.
It's inherently there. I think one of the things I found in business that's, we use personality profiles in our business, which I'm sure you've seen. And
I failed miserably.
You can't fail a personality. You can't fail a personality profile. Right. What you could fail, right, which is interesting, what you could do is one of the things we used to measure for is seeing someone's personality and then their work. And if their work matches their personality. And there sometimes you can see a lot of stress on someone. So if you failed, like that could have shown up. And I think I do remember that happening.
Yeah, you fired me. Can we talk about that after you answer this question? Talk about the day you fired me and what that felt like.
I never fired you. I never fired you. You graduated.
I graduated. Cap and gown.
What?
All right, cap and gown.
You graduated, Jack? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's that.
But yeah, entrepreneurs born or.
So I think there's some of it that's 100% born, for sure. That being said, one of the things I've seen more than anything in business is when you say like a personality profile, right? The reason I gave that is that there's a position at which you have no personality profile, right? Like you don't have the luxury. You're running Pure Plank today. You don't have the luxury of a personality profile. All of it has to give you energy. All of it has to work. Like all of it is within. It's like, oh, this doesn't work for me, but you're taking responsibility for the whole business, and it needs certain things. And especially when it's smaller, you have to wear more hats. You don't get to just sit there and work in that. And the reason I bring that up is because more than anything else, where I see people get caught up in business is that they want to be something they're not. So it's like, this is just who you are. You're an awesome sales guy. You're just really freaking good at sales. And the other parts of the business, not your skill. It's not who you are, but there's something about sales that you're really dynamite in. And oftentimes people will get into like, yeah, but I want to be this, I want to be that. And then they don't maximize their skill because they see it somewhere else. They see it somewhere else. But I think entrepreneurs, there is something does seem to me to be like ingrained and embedded, like some have it, some don't. Yeah, but that doesn't mean success is, right? There's just so many. Yeah, you would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree, 100%. Like you're kind of born with it, like, and the proof is there. The people that typically find success and have success, like you can trace it back to like kind of always been there. I'm just loaded with questions tonight.
Yeah, you flipped the interview over here.
I know, right? What? So and you let me know if you agree with this or not. But I would say there's like this general, like belief, if you will, that like, or this vibe that people that don't have hate people that like eat the rich. Like people don't like wealthy people. Why do you think that is?
So earlier when you asked like some of the reasons I don't want to speak, and some of it is that I feel that it almost automatically wakes up jealousy or negativity in others, and it's like why wake that up? And that's one voice, right? Which I've seen it, and it's human nature, and for many of us, I mean, me included, right? You hear someone's success, and the first thought could be like a little bit ago, someone shared with me like a deal they did really well, and I'm like, and I wasn't in that one, right? And like for a moment, there was like, like I lost something, and then I said to myself, like, there's a voice in my head that wants me dead, like right. There's a voice in my head that just wants the worst for me, right? And could I just put that to the side? Wish this guy well. It's beautiful news. right? He had an investment,
Right.
which did well. I know the way he uses money. I know, like, this is great. It's
Right.
great for the world. It's great news. But there could be that little bit that's there, and knowing that that exists in many others, right? That sometimes you see something and it reminds us of, like, I don't have that. I wish I had that. And that's part of the reason why I don't want to see. It's like not to wake that up. On the other hand, right? On the other hand, is years ago, you know who this guy is. I won't mention him by name, but he was working at he was working at our company, and he kept, rising through the ranks. And like a number of occasions, he needed to leave work to deal with his car, and he had, no joke, a 20-year-old car, and he was making money. I'm like, how is this worth it for you?
Right.
Like, not only, like, you're losing time also, right? Like, this is probably the third time in the last 6 weeks that you're telling me you have to be out of the office
Right.
because you're dealing with your car. Just lease a brand new, I think a 20-year-old BMW. I'm like, lease a brand new BMW. Like, what is it's about? And he said to me, I don't want to make others jealous. And I said, you're willing to, so for me, I was like, but what are you showing to the people in the company? I was like, you've reached a senior level position in this company, and you're driving a 20-year-old car. Like, you're not showing. Like, I was like, oh, if I get the job one day, like, there are people 2-3 levels below you driving nicer cars. Frankly, every person in the company was driving a nicer car.
Pretty much, yeah.
Than this guy. And I said, why would you? It's true, some people will be jealous and some people will be inspired. And why would you take away people's opportunity to be inspired just because a few people will be jealous? So I have said those words, but on the other hand, I've probably listened more to those voices of, hey, there's a certain amount of negativity. Like, why would I want to inspire negativity in someone? Why would I want to bring that up? Why would I want to bring that towards me and my family? Let's just, like, don't make mention of it, for sure.
Right. I have a theory.
But I don't know if that answered your question. But
yeah, no, I have a theory on why people hate the rich.
Go ahead.
And it's very simple and practical.
Okay.
I think when any of us looks at someone that has more or whatever, and that feeling of, like, jealousy and envy and contempt is nothing more than, at your core, at your soul, you know that you can do it, but you're not doing it for whatever reason. Seriously, like, whatever this person is, like, they don't have 6 arms, they don't have 2 brains. You understand, even if subconsciously, that you are capable of this, and you're not doing it. Or it's within your capacity, but you're not doing it. And that's where that emotion of, like, envy and jealousy comes from. It's my theory. Because there's nuances and right, like, there's disenfranchised, marginal, there's systems in place to block people out in certain degrees, but at a foundational level, like, unless you're doing some shit I cannot do, which even if it's astrophysics, like, if I want to go, I know the path, right? I go to school. If I want to do it, I can do it, right? There's nothing that one person can do that another person can't. Right? Like, the door may be heavier for some, but you can still swing it open.
I'm not getting to the NBA.
Right. So outside of physical, okay, I should make that distinction. Correct. Outside of, like, physical attributes and skills, on the, like, athletic, like, I can't beat Michael, like, he's, right? But outside of that, I think that's what a lot of it is rooted in. I don't think most people realize it, or whatever the case is. And I've dealt with, not, if I'm being candid, not jealousy or envy, but in my journey, like, I've talked to you about this before, like, I felt like I was in such close proximity, like, by the law of numbers, like, I should have some deals that I've closed with you, and, like, like, my good guy is successful in business, is doing well, like, what's going on here? And that took a lot of work, and, like, understanding that, one, my path is my path, and like my timing is different from yours or whoever else's, and, like, really being honest and recognizing there were opportunities that were maybe not taken advantage of, and that's like, for me, the biggest thing right now is like, thank God I live a blessed life and everything is good. But like the hunger for more now is like different. Whereas before I just kind of wanted, now it's like understanding why I want because of who I am. Meaning like I'm speaking
So
vague. I'm speaking vague again.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But it's like I'm at like 5, let's say, when I know I can be at 10, and like wrestling with that, like, why aren't you at 10? Because everyone looks around and everyone like, it's like, you should be at 10 by now.
Who is everyone?
Like I had a family member like the other day asked me like, when is enough gonna be enough for me? I'm like, what? Like, you think I have enough? It's crazy. And it's like stuff like comments like that make me like, people like look at me a certain way. Because for one, like I am the generational shift in my family, in my bloodline.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
100%. One generation shifted everything. And I think people, I guess, understand my capabilities if they know me long enough and they see me do things and they see what my successes are and so on and so forth. And yeah, they just like, yo, you're good. Like, you have it. Like, I had someone tell me like, yo, where you're at is the next level for me. And I'm like, bro, like, this is like, I'm holding on. Like, you know, but I understand like more and less is always going to be more and less. So for me, I'm getting a little off track here, but I think that hunger for more has been something that I've been wrestling with. Now, actually, I felt isolated. And I'm going to say this, because we're talking about money and success and stuff. I find myself in a peculiar space when I think about what I want out of life and like what success means to me. Not there yet. And the pressure, like, it's a weight that I deal with in isolation. And what I mean by that is there's no one that in my immediate circumference that can like really relate to me. And like I find myself wanting to have like that conversation, but it's like on one hand I have like some of my friends that like, to them I have a lot.
I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. What you're saying is that
I'm like, confessing right now.
Yeah. Right. So I just want to pull out the word. So you're saying that, okay, so you have a business stress or a life stress, right? So
on one hand, I got people that can't relate to that.
Right.
They're 9-to-5ers, whatever. And the other hand, I have a good amount of successful friends and colleagues, you being one of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't relate to me, for example, if I'm being specific, because I'm like, you've been at this so long. Like, I've played this scenario in my head where like, if I go have a conversation with you, you'll be like, why don't you just do it, bro? Like, you can just do it. Like, I don't even know why you can't do it. Just do it already. Not like cold or callous, but like,
yeah, maybe cold.
You can, you can do it. Just do it. And then it's like, all right, you don't get it either. And it feels weird because like I'm at 5 and I know I'm at 10 and it's like, I want to have like an outlet. I want to like help tease it out a little bit, like what could be happening. Cause I definitely feel like it's deeper stuff. But like, there's no one to.
Yeah. All I'll say is try me, but.
Right. No, like there's no one to like really like sit. And so I just find myself like, it feels like I'm a man on an island with that shit.
Yeah. That certainly is one of the other sides of the being an entrepreneur, right? Which I was sharing about it also when you say, is it born or is it like someone like born with it? So part of that is that willingness to swim against the current, which is similar to what I shared about investing in stocks, right? You have like the consensus and then there's you. Like I invest in stocks, right? When I invest in stocks, I'm like, I buy the market and just ride it, right? I'm the consensus. And the consensus is that this will go up every once in a while. And then every once in a while you have someone who's like, no, I'm going to bet against the consensus, right? And that's the same that it takes for an entrepreneur, right? You're going to sit in the office, and it doesn't matter a big business or a small business. You're going to sit in the office, and there's going to be everybody, and then there's going to be you. And there's like, I can't tell, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to like go to employees and say like, our lender has this concern with us, and
Right.
you know, or you know, we're just trying to figure out how, in order to continue growing the business, like we need twice as much inventory,
Right.
and like our factory isn't there, and other relationships aren't, like who are you going to discuss that with in the
Right.
office, right?
Right.
There's no one there, and not to discuss that level of stuff. So oftentimes there is part of the other side of the success is that aloneness that is often felt in the process. It's just
So
part
it's part of it. I never thought of it like that.
yeah, there are ways around it, right? Like when I was feeling this most strongly in business, right? I didn't feel like I had those people I can speak to. I joined a group called Vistage, which put you as kind of peer-to-peer consulting. So it was other business owners that were pretty much in the same size, either revenue-wise or, you know, size of employees or maybe years business. Like you're pretty much in different industries. So every month we'd have an opportunity to sit down, meet, and then if we needed to, it's like you're calling a guy and he's probably in the same, you know, as our business grew, they switched me into a different group.
Yeah.
But you're pretty much around. I got 20 employees, they got 20 employees,
Gotcha.
you know, and dealing with kind of similar problems. And it's like, hey, it's like the first time I bumped up against this one. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, I got two of my senior guys in like a crazy fight. It's like, I don't see how I can manage to keep both of them. Like, how do I even pick? They're both so essential to the business. So I fire one of them. I'm like, I'm already working 60-hour days. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to take their job also.
Right.
Or 60-hour weeks. Like, I'm going to take their job. And those are problems. And you need someone to deal with it. And then someone who's, you know, kind of worked through that. That's not his problem. That's his, right? That's the guy who's working for his problem, right? He has someone managing maybe the team or the business that's sweating that problem, right? So, yeah, there's different sides.
Yeah, but accept it. It's part of it. It comes with the territory. Yeah, never really thought of it like that. Because I guess the stage that I'm at now, it feels like isolation. Like, all right, it's like people depending on me, but like they don't understand like the struggles. And it's like, I know people that have been here and got out of it, but they feel far removed. And not some of it, as I'm talking to you, like some of it is definitely like just in my own head.
Yeah, a lot of it sounds like in your own head, like what people are thinking, what they say, and they expect you to be at 10 and you're at a 5. This is all your own, right? Your childhood trauma about being told you have potential.
Yeah, and a lot of it is that also. Like, I think a lot of it is rooted in some of the childhood stuff where, like, no one has ever done what I'm doing in my family or anything like that, right? In terms of like running a business, building a business, all this stuff.
And this is the holiness in business, by the way. This is like the holiness of business is the two areas of life that I found are the most confronting of the stuff in our inner world is business and marriage. Parenting, you know, kind of going in that same category as marriage, like that. Building a family and building a business, these are the two areas that are going to confront you more than anything else. And then some are kind of like, oh no, I don't want to be materialistic. I don't want to be this way. It's like, you're losing out on this whole area of life where you can be confronted and pushed up against. And it doesn't only take the business owner, right? Just someone who's striving for more, looking for that growth in that way. It's going to confront you in really, really powerful ways. And it's not for the faint. It's not for the faint-hearted. You know, there's something that's really there for us. And I know that, you know, when I started getting into recovery, I'm like, I got to get out of business. I'm going to focus on healing. I'm just going to sell. And I kept getting pulled back in, tried to sell, didn't work, tried to sell again, didn't work. And at a certain point I got the message. I'm like, no, I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to struggle with this. There is something that's really holy about the struggle, about this work.
Yeah, I hear that.
Another thing also, I was thinking about this, is kind of the first year that I like really took a beating in business. Remember, I called my big brother, and I'm like, man, like it's just crazy, like losing so much money and this and that. I said, and he's like, do you want to be a business owner or an employee? Like that. He's like, business owners, like by definition, there's those ups and downs, right? The employee is the one where there's that consistency, whereas, right? You're going for that consistency, right? In an optimal state, the employee is in a place where there's consistency, right? Like, I've got to raise and grow. I got to the next one. I got the corner office. And the optimal experience for the business is ups and downs. Like, that is the optimal. I tried to grow too fast, and then I ran out of cash, and then whatever, right? There's stuff that's happening, and just which one do you want? And that helped me a lot. That conversation, I remember, where I was like, okay, instead of thinking of me as like a failure, and now I'm running into a business problem, it was more like, yeah, this is a package deal. This is what I signed up for. You want to be a business owner? You want those opportunities to kind of really make it, like, have outsized wealth? Yeah, there's a risk on the other side of that, and you have to be willing to, to sit through those. Yeah, can you stomach those difficult years? Because if you could, there may be some really good years behind you, but like after that.
Yeah, so. I hear that. So just sit back and enjoy the ride. Stay locked in.
Yeah, a lot of things. So I guess, as we touched on money, definitely more so in this conversation than anyone I've done on the podcast, have we done justice to, like, the topic, or why it's so important, why I feel it's so important, why it is so important, why it feels almost like a new frontier to confront this topic? Have we done that here? Have we succeeded?
I feel like we started. I don't feel like the final gavel has dropped. I feel like this could be a part 2. Yeah, I think there's definitely more to discuss, because like I would like to get into more of like the chapters, like the lessons, like the milestones, what that meant, what that didn't mean for you with business and success, and what you can share from that. Because first of all, you've I'm proud of you as a sitting across from you. Like, I know how uncomfortable this has made you in speaking about this in a long time, and I think that you should continue to talk about it, whether it's me or someone else. Like, definitely lean into it.
It'll be you for the next little bit.
Yeah, I think you should definitely lean into it, because I can speak
if you're
for
willing and able.
Yeah, I'm here, bro. I'm here for you always, But I definitely can speak for your audience. Like, they want to hear this part of you, for sure. I'm not asking, I'm telling you. Because as much as this has been your identity, maybe not in the most, like, positive way, people also see this as part of your identity. And I think now it's more full circle in the work that you're doing, and you've been doing in the last few years with what you're doing here in Southwest Ranches and so on. But most certainly, Ellie Nash is synonymous with, like, a business guy that's found success and is doing good work inside of that, So, yeah, I think you definitely lean into it. I think we should do whoever's watching this should send in questions, these comments, and then maybe the next time we answer those head on. So send Ellie an email. Where's my camera? Send Ellie an email. Leave a comment on the YouTube. Drop a question in the WhatsApp, whatever you need to, and then next episode, next time we tackle this, we'll pull those questions up and we'll get to it.
And what do you imagine those questions will be? Will they be more about your life journey, my life journey, advice? Like, what do you think?
My hope is that it's a mix, right? Like, your life journey, what did you do to make your first, like, what was the shift that got you to your first million? What's the biggest L you've ever took? Like, real practical stuff, because like I always say, and I'm not ashamed of it either, like, I had this conversation once, like, by the way, like, I don't give a rat's ass whoever looks at this and like, this guy, like, you have a great significance to me. You and my aunt are like two people in my life, where my aunt has been one of the most consistent people in my life. When I first came to America, I lived with my aunt. She took me in. When I needed to get out of like a bad school into a good school, my aunt signed for me. When my mother committed suicide, tried to commit suicide, I'm sorry, my aunt came and picked me up, right? My aunt has been consistently just good. Love her to death. You, as a friend, represent what's possible, expansion, and you've been a good dude to me. And I've been around you long enough where I heard people talk shit about you, like, and I'm like, it could be true. It's possible. Like, it could be. But you've been solid for me, always. You know what I'm saying? And you have a way of articulating ideas that really land, especially like a kid from across the tracks. Like when I met you, I'm like, no way. And then it's like, you know, we've grown and our relationship has developed and all that stuff. And I truly appreciate the friendship that we've built. And it means, I don't know, you don't give a shit what it means to you, but for me, it represents like, it legit, like I felt like I met you, like we were in each other's lives for a reason. You know, like when I went to your wedding in Italy, it's the furthest I've ever been from home. And a great wedding, had a blast, love to do it again. But what that represented for me, like I didn't think I could get on a plane and fly to Italy. I'm like, no fucking, how am I gonna fucking like afford that? And like, truth be told, like if I'm being honest, when you extended the invite, I'm like, oh, you must be sending a plane ticket with this. Because how am I going to Italy for a wedding? Like, what? And then I got on a plane, and then I'm like, yo, like, I'm standing on the little plateau of the, like, hotel. I'm like, oh, I'm in Italy. And I've been traveling. I've been a global citizen ever since. Right? Like, I'm everywhere. Like I said, when I met you, understanding what a actual business owner and what, you know, making some money can actually look like in the real world, where you didn't have to look over your shoulders, you know, just work every day, just work at it. So yeah, man, you've been good. You've always given me solid advice. We've butt heads. We've, you know, we've had, I don't want to say disagreements, but like difference in opinions. There's times where I felt like you didn't understand me and you didn't get it. You don't get it. You're speaking from a different place, but I take it all, and I will not let any sort of Ellie slander pass, because again, for me, you've been a solid dude. Like I tell people, like when we first met, it was early on. I got into some trouble. And whoever that's watching this, it's like my friend. Like I hope this doesn't affect our friendship. But I got into some trouble, ended up in jail, and I came out of it. Or no, I'm lying. I was supposed to be at work. Wasn't at work for a while. I'm not even sure you remember this.
Remember some stuff. It was like over a holiday weekend or something, right?
Yeah, and then like...
Which holiday was that?
I
like
can't
Monday
remember.
Was a holiday.
Yeah, but like I wasn't at work, and then like you found my number, you called, or someone from the office called. My wife like kind of covered for me, and then at some point, whatever, I got out of jail, blah, blah, blah. And I came like, oh, I'm back, da-da-da. And then I remember you, like we were having a conversation about it. At this point, we weren't even that good of friends. Like we're okay, like had some rapport at work, but nothing crazy. And I remember you saying like, dude, you know there's the internet, right? I guess at some point you looked up and saw that I was in the county jail. Right. And I remember feeling like just completely embarrassed and like ashamed that like I try to like do such a, like, who do I think I am? Like such a dumb idea to like try to like lie. And then fast forward, as part of my condition for probation, I had to demonstrate that I had a job and that I'll have like gainful employment. And you wrote a letter and you came to the courthouse for me.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that. I know you did, but you came to the courthouse for me. And I gotta say for sure that helped sway the judge's opinion, because it's like I got him. He has a job with me. This is what I do.
I don't remember that.
And
Crazy.
Those are things that forever I'll appreciate. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, you've been a good dude, and I love to see where you're at in your life, and I wish you 100 years of success, and Hashem bless you and your family and your generations to come. And yeah, we should do part 2, and we can dive into more of this.
We should.
And answer the people's questions. You know?
Yeah, I don't know what changed in this one for you. First of all, I'd say for my part, and I'm not a man of many words in this regard, which I think you know. You know, it's like if I enjoy food, I eat it. I don't.
Right.
I don't say much. I don't say much about it. I don't write the review. But in this case, I knew I had to do this. I've known for a while that like money has to be spoken about, whatever that means, right? But it's a topic that I have to take on, and I also know I didn't want to, which is probably a lot of the reason that I didn't do anything with the podcast. It's like what I should be talking about, I'm not talking about, so I'm just not talking. And then knowing that I needed a little support through it, and when I asked you, I knew that like I already knew the answer. Yeah. I know you're busy with work and your family and everything else, and we've connected more recently or not. And lately we have been because of some work stuff. But even without it, I just knew that like the question would be asked and you'd be there, and that means a lot. Just knowing that there's someone who like I think you know what the request is, right? The request is clear. Like I got to do something. I can't do it alone for whatever reason, and I know you're a trusted guy to have at my side. So I appreciate that. On top of that, there's definitely a side of you that came out differently in this podcast. I don't know than any of the other conversations we've done. You were more. So I don't know if something shifted on your side or something we did differently. Whatever it was, that's good. I think it's good to show the personality and some of the other show your personality and some of the other conversations. Felt like you're holding back too much. Like who's this Ryan guy? Why is he in that seat? And I think you showed more of like why that is with your questions, your personality. So in part 2, I hope we see more of that. So thank you, Ryan.
There it is.
Yeah, thank you so much.